Oh, I think I think we're streaming. We are streaming. Hey, we got there. Sorry, apologies. First time using the new software, and I have actually managed to figure it out. So let's just make sure we are streaming, as we always like.
It certainly appears that way.
It does.
Stream health is good.
Wow. I will just share.
It's a little bit weird to like see the what I was doing like 5 seconds ago.
Oh, look, you can hear us right now. So I will just share. There you go. It's a bit of an annoying background noise, but you can live with it. So there we go.
That's it.
We'll correct it next time if it's really annoying.
It's not bad.
But anyway,
we have 2 mics these days. So
we do have 2 mics these days. Oh,
there is somebody at the door.
There is somebody at the door.
Unbelievably so.
And here we go. For those of you who don't have the link, so hello, we are officially live with LOC Network again for the first in-season episode of this in season.
That's it. We're back.
I'm joined again by the co-host Chris Leach. How's it going, Chris?
Very well, thank you. Very well. So I'm very pleased to, get back to our tried and tested format.
Absolutely.
We know what we're doing today.
We do.
That's it. You should know what we're doing too after all this time.
Yeah,
so.
hopefully you do. We're stuck in an old machine by this point.
Absolutely.
And as always, please message us on the Facebook group, and we will chat with you live if you do that, and let us know if the audio is okay or not, because obviously we're A, using a new mic, B, kind of winging it a bit, so hopefully the background noise isn't too bad. Anyway, enough of that. We will get on with the show, because of course it was week 1 last week. We've actually had real football, real fantasy football more importantly.
Yeah.
Well, what do we usually start the show with, Chris?
It is the league news.
The league news indeed. And we'll start off with the transactions. I think we usually start off with injuries, but I think it makes more sense to do transactions.
Transactions are more fun.
On reflection, are they? So we'll go with everything from the end of the game week. So we'll start with, and of course, we actually want the dollar values, because we are obviously waiver acquisition budget now, and we have all that information. So let's just get back to the first waiver ad, which was here. So we had the Detonators added Philip Lindsay and dropped Alan Hearns. They added Lindsay for $21. Now, obviously, Philip Lindsay really came onto the scene in week 1. He was kind of a hyped up undrafted rookie.
Yeah.
No one really bought into it, especially with Royce Freeman there.
No.
But to his credit, he had a decent week 1. I think he got 71 yards and a touchdown as well. Really good week 1. What do you make of Philip Lindsay? $21. That's a big spend for week 1.
Very much so. But Philip Lindsay, he was, as you say, completely really unknown before week 1. Yeah. But he does appear to be that kind of scat back in the Denver offense, and I think that he's going to, by the looks of it, they're going to bring him into the fold a lot. We've seen guys in that sort of mould, this year and in previous years have some value. We've seen the McCaffreys of this world, Sproles, Shane Vereen in the past.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really interesting pickup, and if he's going to be well used and good volume, then for sure it's going to look like a great move towards the end of the year.
Definitely. And Detonators was certainly a team in need of a flex as well, I think it's fair to say.
Absolutely.
The other moves we have here, we have you, my friend. You had a Jared Cook and dropped Greg Olsen for $15. Now, absolutely. Obviously, Jared Cook had a great week 1, 18 points or yardage, and Greg Olsen re-broke his foot.
Yeah.
And I'll cover that news off now. Could be 4 to 6 weeks, could be longer potentially.
That's right.
But anyway, Jared Cook, 18 points and $15 for a guy that's famously teased every season. It feels like.
My man Jared, look, I've got every faith in the Oakland offense that they're going to throw to him a lot, because let's be honest, they haven't got a great deal else to do.
This is true. Yeah, they re-signed crack pipe smoking Martavis Bryant today.
That's it.
That doesn't show you how desperate they are.
I mean, you've got to kind of give John Gruden a bit of credit here, because I think that he's got to completely change the Raiders. He's got a lot of time to do it, and a lot of faith behind him to do it. But at the same time, he's been watching TV basically for the last few years. That's it.
Decade.
And you got to say to yourself, well, what's he learned in that time? And maybe he's learned that your tight end can really be I'm clutching at straws here. Is it? He can be the guy, but look,
we all clutch at straws.
That's
it.
Of
injuries.
He's got Coop. I'd say. All I can say is that the receiving core of Brian, Jordy Nelson, and Amari Coop is pretty uninspiring. Jared Cook's a big presence in that. And
you're telling me you're not worried about Seth Roberts?
Oh, so scared, so scared. but I'll take a punt. I've already got Kittle, so I'll take a punt on Cook.
Yeah.
And we'll see how we go.
Yeah, and we'll come on to another move in a second, mate. Yeah. You just made me realise something.
Indeed.
But we'll start with the next one on the list, which is Ted Ginn, Jr., if you're that hyped on accuracy. $12 ad by ADOZ, and they dropped Chris Ivory. Now, I think Chris Ivory is famously going to be the bust of the season.
Yeah.
Early doors, so he's certainly going to be up there. Ted Ginn for $12?
Ted Ginn's one of them guys, again, who's kind of flat to deceive over the years. He knows what he's doing, but he's been the same sort of player, even at Carolina. He was that guy who, again, would get a touchdown in one every 5 weeks, but then wouldn't do anything for the remaining 4.
Basically, to his credit, he's been a player that's famously had a reputation for drops throughout his career, but with the Saints he hasn't had that.
No.
And obviously playing with Drew Brees does give you a bit better, but
for sure.
You're certainly right. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. No doubt he will have good weeks, but especially with Cameron Meredith out this week, that's another mouth to come back into the fold. And they really like their rookie slot receiver. I think he's rookie Austin Carr, I believe his name is, as well. So there's a lot to go around there. That might be a bit of a hit and miss $12 ad there. Gridiron Gang ended the Denver Broncos defense for 6 points, dropped the Saints defense, who famously put up a goose egg against Ryan Fitzpatrick in week 1.
Ouch.
But Ernest had to flip the set for $5 and dropped Derek Carr. Now, this is another interesting one. Now, flip the set's been on the lips of a lot of fantasy analysts ads this week because he did have a pretty good game in week 1.
Yeah.
But Julian Edelman's back in 3 weeks.
Exactly that. That's it. And the fact is that
and he's playing Jacksonville this week.
That's it. It's not the best matchup ever. And what worries me is that a guy like Chris Hogan didn't do a great deal week 1.
Yeah.
As you say, Edelman's coming back. Gronk is still very much the target monster there. So is Dorsett really going to make an impact? I mean, for $5, it's worth finding out, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, I would temper expectations.
Sure. Will Disley was added by you for $3.
Yes.
You quoted on the weekend you were going to bid 5, and you put out some false information and went 3.
I did.
And you dropped Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
That means you have 3 tight ends.
I do indeed. Yes. There's a bit of a tight end trial out at Forge Flies. I would say that it's probably, and historically, is my weakest position. So yeah, I mean, let's try him out. If Jared Cook fails to deceive, then I've spent a grand total of, on average, $9 between the two. So
and like $18.
Well, that's it.
Jared Cook and Will Disley.
Exactly that. So yeah, on average.
On average, okay.
On average. So someone's going to be good value.
This is true.
Hopefully.
Not to dampen it, because he did have a great week 1, and someone needs to catch balls in Seattle. But if you remember this reference, one of the podcasts I was listening to today likened Will Disley to the Orlando Scandrick of week 1. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Where he famously went off against the Giants.
Yeah.
And did nothing else the rest of the season. For a 4th round rookie blocking tight end, I don't want to say the deck is stacked against you, Chris, but that's how it's doing.
At least it didn't bid 5.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Gridiron Gang added Quincy and Number for $3.
I think that's a steal, by the way. If you can pick Quincy and Number up for 3 and you're getting Ted Ginn for 12. Oh, dude.
Yeah, Quincy and Number looked.
Yeah.
Had the apple of Sam Darnold's eye.
Imperious.
48% target share. Now that's not going to happen. I'm not even dreaming that would be the case every week, but if he's up there in the targets,
he was great before he got injured last couple of years.
Yeah, missed all of last year because of that neck injury, but before that he was a real up and coming player. You're right. But then they decided Brandon McManus for $1 and dropped Mason Crosby. Famously, who cares?
Yeah.
ADRZ added Eric Ebron, and I think they put Delaney Walker on IR there, so no drop there. That's an interesting ad as well. Obviously, there are 2 tight ends in Indy: Jack Doyle, the every down tight end, and Eric Ebron, who comes on really on the passing packages. He had that touchdown on the weekend, but he only had a couple of catches.
Didn't do a great
fortunate. So we'll see what happens there. They also added Alfred Blue and dropped DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Apparently Nigel has to have a handcuff for someone else's player on his team at all times this season. Seems to be the rule.
Sears Alfred Blue came on and scored one touchdown and didn't do anything else.
Yeah, basically.
So
God damn him for stealing that from me.
Indeed, yeah.
Tom Tyrants added New England Patriots defense, and they dropped the Falcons defense. Could be a good matchup against the Jags this week. Breaking news, because this happened not long ago, I think. Ixan added Ryan Fitzpatrick and dropped Giovanni Bernard. I can't quite remember who Ben has starting at quarterback on his team, but
somebody had to, he's got Aaron Rodgers.
That's fair enough. You need there are probably better options though, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it's it. Not week one.
No,
but just going forward, you know.
Yeah, indeed. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but the NFL website's been really annoying with that. Now they have to load up a video before you go on the game center every time now, which is really frustrating.
That's annoying.
But now we'll do the injury news, and we'll just go through team by team. So Ben Roethlisberger apparently has an elbow injury. Really, it's just nothing. So he'll be playing on Sunday. He's an old man. It's probably just a bit arthritis-y. Jarvis Landry, I think he had a quad injury or nothing serious. Full participant. He'll play on Sunday. Fournette, however, he did strain his hamstring on Sunday and left the game, I think, some point in the first half. He hasn't practiced the last 2 days. They're saying he's going to give it a go tomorrow. They've already reported he will play on the weekend.
That's it. But they can't decide what they're going to do, basically. I would temper expectations there because in the past they've said that.
Famously inactive for no reason, it seemed like.
Yeah.
So, Marquise Goodwin suffered a deep thigh bruise, is what it's called. Contusion, if you're American. On Sunday, he went out the game, came back in and went out again. He's another guy that's up in the air at the moment. Quincy Noma, field participant. I have no idea what's wrong with him, but he'll play. On Badetne's side of the ball, I'm not seeing any injury news or anything interesting there. So
Deshaun Watson's woken up from his form coma. Hopefully.
Yeah. Rex Burkhead got a concussion at some point. Never left the game, but was reported to be in the protocol. However, he already had pads on and was practicing at some degree yesterday, so he should clear the protocol for Sunday. David Johnson, no idea what's wrong with him, but he'll play. Deshaun Jackson, I think he got a concussion and maybe sprained his shoulder as well. He's a bit up in the air for Sunday.
Well, it's not like Deshaun Jackson does not get injured over the course of the year.
Famously injured his hamstring week 1 for me.
Yeah.
And missed the next 2 months, it felt like. So. CJ Anderson did not participate, no idea why, but he'll probably play. Carson Wentz limited, still coming back from that knee ligament injury of last season. He won't play this week. They've already announced Foles as the starter. But really after that, watch this space. Sony Michel, limited participant. Now, I think the plan is for him not to play. However, if Burkhead doesn't suit up, they may try and suit him up. So
if you own James White, you want to be he's the guy to have this week. So we'll
tell me Ken John Barner or Kenneth Farrow aren't gonna.
That's it. I was going to say it would have been Jeremy Hill, but that's it. All of these running backs that New England have, that they can't decide who to play.
Indeed. On hooked on a Thielen, not seeing much there. Devontae Parker, he's still with that hand injury. Missed week 1, might miss week 2.
How many Thielen ones are going to be? Is like I've got a Thielen.
I'm feeling Thielen.
Yes,
I'm feeling Thielen.
What else you got? That's it. That's it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about anything which has feeling in it.
Basically. Six and now Aaron Rodgers, he got rolled up on. Left the game on Sunday, but came back and gutted it out. Hasn't practiced yet. He said he'll play this week. That's kind of a bit up in the air at the moment. We'll see. DeAndre Hopkins, limited participant. Not sure what's up with him, but he'll play. Alshon Jeffrey, limited. He's coming back from that shoulder. So the rotator cuff surgery he had in the off season. Won't play this week. Again, he's another guy who's quite week to week. Probably won't be back for a couple more weeks. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Corey Davis has a hamstring injury. Of course he does. He's a limited participant. He might play. I'm not sure at the moment. Marlon Mack, he should make a return from his hamstring injury, but again, watch out. Confirm that on Sunday. The Tuck Fards, What have we got here? Todd Gurley, DMP, probably just a rest day, wouldn't worry. Michael Thomas, same thing. Marshall Lynch, limited participant. Again, he's an old man, he needs his rest days. LeGarrette Blount, full participant. He got an injury, I think it was a knee injury on Sunday, but obviously not too serious. Perhaps more serious is he sucks. Will Fuller. Will Fuller did not play. He was almost a surprise inactive on Sunday.
That's it.
With a hamstring
Will
injury.
Fuller's dodgy hamstrings.
Yeah,
He just runs too fast. That's
basically. But I think he probably will return. But again, just check. Devontae Adams, he has a shoulder injury as well. But that kind of came out of nowhere. I would expect him to play on Sunday. Dak Prescott, Ryan Grant, they're going to be just fine. Don't worry about that. Next, we have the Dream Team. Full bill of health for them, pretty much. Wow. That's nice. ADLZ, Devonta Foreman. He had that knee injury in week 1, which was a full week ago now. Oops, excuse me. And he's still not been practicing. That's really not a good sign. Even if he does suit up this weekend, don't expect him to have his usual complement of snaps. Ted Ginn did not practice. Not sure what's up with him, but I think he'll play. Obviously, the big one for ADLZ in week 1, Delaney Walker. He broke his ankle and had some ligament damage in there too, so he is very much done for the season. And Forge Flyers now. Larry Fitzgerald, rest day. I'm going to go ahead and guess. Le'Veon Bell still not reported. Now, I've heard through the grapevine he will be back before the end of the month.
Well, that's good.
So we'll just have to... Wednesday is the day for him. If he's going to report, Wednesday's the day you start game planning and have proper practice. If he's not back by Wednesday each week, he's not going to be there for that week.
Nope.
And obviously even then for the first couple of weeks at least, you would think he's going to be very limited in game time. Perhaps even more so with James Conner showing well. Sterling Shepard, limited participant, not sure what's up with him, but I think he'll be okay. Matt Stafford, he got pretty banged up on Sunday too. I think he had a knee injury and got the wind knocked out of him at some point, but he'll be fine.
He got wrecked.
Yeah, he did get wrecked.
He wrecked his fantasy chances last week as well.
Yeah,
so.
he did do that. Nothing else there, and that is your injury news. So don't you feel updated?
Whew.
So all the injury news. I don't think too many. I mean, there was nothing really huge in week 1. I think it's fair to say there was a couple of tight end injuries, but tight end's one of those funny ones where it's not much of a downgrade unless it's a Gronkowski type.
That's right. Absolutely that.
So we'll just go straight to the week 1 recap, and we'll start off with the game we did choose as our marquee matchup, which was this game.
Oh, yes.
And excellent, we can show the scoring chart now as well. Isn't that great? So yeah, and it turned out to be a good one, definitely worthy of marquee matchup status. So entering this, well, I'll bring up the stats. I can't remember what you were entering this game. It was pretty split. But you won it, Chris, as you can see here, 118 to 97.
Yes.
If we bring up the...
that did happen.
Yeah, that did happen. That's not what I wanted. I wanted OOC, not personal. If we look at the prior matchups for you, you are now nearly there, dear listeners.
It's good that you can tune into this as well. You can see it as clear as I can.
Yeah, hopefully at a better angle from where you're sat there.
Yeah,
team versus team. There we go. But anyways, so you are now 6 and 7 all time against better than it is, Chris.
Oh, good.
So there you go. And looking down, so as you can see on the chart there, we have all this intel now as well doing it this way. It's a pretty close game all throughout.
Yeah.
But you obviously had the edge of the extra player. You just pipped it before the end of the 9 PM games and a comfortable victory in the end. And we can see the recap there, but we don't want to see that. We want you to talk through what happened in this game.
Well, that's it, and you're right when you say it was very close, and you're correct. I would say that there wasn't a great deal in it apart from really 2 positions, which is QB and DST. And you know, when you've got somebody who like Russell Wilson, who granted got problems with their O-line, he doesn't need that. He kind of sort of transcends that because he's so mobile and he can find his receivers in such a way that you can score big points very quickly.
One of those QBs that definitely elevates the players around them.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
He can make 36-year-old Brandon Marshall relevant. That's how good he is.
That's it. Absolutely it. So when you consider that there's 26 points there as opposed to Watson's 13, it's double the points haul. Watson didn't have a great game, and I think that over the course of the year, we'll see some of the old Watson.
He was never going to keep up that 4-week tail. Like I said on last week's podcast when we did the draft recap, when you're a rookie and there's no game tape on you, it's not. I don't want to say easy because it's not easy in the NFL, but when you can't be game plan for, it's harder to stop you because you don't know what to do.
That's it.
Especially Bill Belichick, a guy that already played against the Patriots, played against Sean Watson in his emergence, I believe, last season. Was going to know exactly what to do to take this guy away, and this is the problem. That doesn't mean he's not going to have good weeks, but yeah, like he was saying, don't expect them every week.
Totally, and it's a challenging place to go, especially with your first game back in near enough a year.
Yeah.
So when you consider that, and then you play the Ravens against the Bills, which I think if you play most defenses against the Bills this year, they're going to perform, and so it was. So yeah, I mean that's really the two positions that have paid off. So it's 10 points extra for the DST, and then 13 points extra, and I think it's a 20-point lead. So that's really where it is. I mean, overall, if I was being ultra critical, the rest of the team there hasn't really performed particularly well. Yeah, you look at some real letdowns. You think of Collins. I think Olsen went injured. Carlos Hyde was bumbling around on 6 points until he somehow got a touchdown. That's exactly it. So, and what's on the other side, I think there's a little bit more
consistency
in terms of consistency. It's without a few big plays, that's sort of where Bedetta is. But they have the potential.
Right. You're absolutely right, because all throughout the evening it was a very close game. You were never comfortable really until near the end of those 9 p.m. games. And as you quite rightly point out, the only difference between the two of you really is the quarterback. You match the quarterback score. Ollie's only down by about 7 points there.
That's right, exactly that.
You're completely right. While you had some bigger scores on your side, it was a more consistent effort on the other side, which is not really what we were expecting.
Not at all. I say absolutely right. But that was supposed to be the other way around.
And looking at the bench, not really much to speak of there. Nothing you can really criticise either team for leaving on the bench either. So good for win for you, Chris. And Ollie's searching for his first one of the season. We're going to this one now. Pakistan take on Exan.
Scores all over the place.
Yeah, you can see this chart. Excuse me. And the scoreline, again, a relatively close game, 112-88. Exan, they are now, where do you live, Exan? You were down there. Now 3-3, so they split the series against Pakistan. And as you can see, Exan jumped out early on Thursday night with about 30 something points from, who did they have?
Rogers.
It was Jones and
this is on Thursday.
Yeah.
Jones and the Eagles D.
Jones and the Eagles D, thank you very much. So they had the early lead, but that was quickly erased by Pakistan. However, obviously you can see they pretty much had all their players, or a lot of their players, playing the early game. Not much to speak of in the 9 p.m. game. They kind of just limped to the finish line on the Monday night. Whereas Ben, although they kind of fell behind in the main core games, you can see where they made their heyday really at the end of those 9 p.m. games and Monday night and Sunday night games.
Yeah.
So tell me the story of this one, Chris.
Well, that's it, exactly. And I think that again, big plays have really made a difference here. And from some guys who you wouldn't necessarily count. I mean, you wouldn't have thought Corral was going for two touchdowns, 102 yards. And I think
it was a very strange game if you watched it.
Yeah,
very strange.
It's unbelievable value fantasy wise, but I'm not sure you're going to get that sort of thing every week.
No, it was a very split backfield and a very positive game script for the Jets.
Yeah.
Very.
So again, I think it's much like my team, where you're not going. There's some things you're not going to be able to rely on every week. So for example, Rogers, great, he's scored 3 touchdowns against Chicago, but again, you're not going to be able to necessarily rely on that. Yeah. Crowley, not going to rely on that. Jones had a fantastic game, and I think maybe 18 points without a touchdown. Let's not forget that. It's it. The yardage.
That's been Julio Jones for at least a season now. This is the weird thing, isn't it? It's about Julio. He's going to get you that consistently. He's just probably going to do it without the touchdown.
That's it, exactly that. But that sort of yardage every week, I mean, maybe not. I mean, we shall see.
Yeah.
But you can't knock a 111-point win. So ultimately, those guys have been drafted for that reason. However, Corell is the guy who stands out for me as not going to do every week.
Just to follow on from your point as well, like you've got Rodgers and Jones though, which if they play, absolute locks, and I fancy Hopkins to have better weeks than what he's done there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to chalk that down to again Belichick just writing him out of the game. But behind those guys, you're exactly right. Like Corell, yeah, he had a good week 1, but you definitely can't count on that week to week. How they used Derrick Henry in week 1 was not good. Did not look good.
No, not at all.
Njoku, in a game where really Cleveland were passing a lot. I think Tyrod Taylor had 40 pass attempts. Okay, the weather was bad, but he did not perform. And Robert Woods, again, these LA Rams receivers, each of them's going to have weeks like this.
Very, very bland.
So I think around those two guys, the cupboard really is a bit
absolutely. Yeah. But on the other side, what worries me about Pakistan is that he's got an absolutely formidable receiving core. I mean, you look at that, and they've all, most of them perform. So you look at Brown, you look at Gronk, and you look at Lewis, and they're all, and I know Lewis is a back, but he performs that pass catching back.
Yeah, definitely. There's 75 rushing yards in this.
Well, yeah, which is strange as well, considering that's not what he's.
But again, this was the usage of that. I can't remember the exact figure, but he outtouched Henry by double digits to 3 in the second half. I think
that's it. So I think that's going to be a sneaky ad. But then you I hate the fact that Cooper, that's just like it's terrible value for where he is.
Yeah. Definitely.
And what does worry me is that throughout the running backs, that's it. Yes, Freeman's gone down this week, so Coleman's going to come in and do a little bit better. But McCoy, that could well be an indicator of where Buffalo is that they're going to be behind so much that they're going to completely disregard the run.
Yeah.
And Stafford is woefully inconsistent as it is.
Yeah, he'll have better weeks than that, obviously. But
yeah, for sure.
You will get that with Matthew Stafford.
Can you rely on him? Possibly not. I mean, and the bench isn't much better either.
Nothing to add there. So, bit of a rough week 1 for Pakistan. A bit of a, saving grace by a few players for Iksan, but Iksan leaves with a win, and then both mosey on to week 2.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to really what was the highest scoring game of the week.
Big time.
Was it? No, not quite. One of them. There were a lot of good scoring weeks in week 1.
Yeah.
The Dream Team against the Tuckfards. So Tuckfards famously have had their struggles in the last few seasons, but that has finished here. They pick up a big win, 138, the week's highest points. Yep. So 104. The head-to-head in this one now, Tuckfards moved to 7-4 all the time against the Dream Team, as we can see here. Really, the Tuckfards, they were losing this one a lot. You could see the Dream Team really didn't surrender the lead, for a long time until. Is that the end of the Monday night game? And
Gurley turns up, doesn't he?
And the second Monday night game really just got Tuckfards over the line. So tell me about this game.
Now we said at the beginning of the season that Tuckfards was certainly a team to look out for, and I will say this before I just start analysing it: is that nobody struggled here. Phil just did exceptionally well. Let's be honest. We were saying at the beginning of the season that Viv's fortunes had to change somewhat, and they have. 104 points in week 1 is fantastic, and something that he wasn't even getting close to this time last year. But there is a worrying sign there, and you look at down the board, and it's anchored by really three players.
I'd chuck Thielen in there too.
Thielen's going to do. I mean,
he's a wide receiver too.
Yeah, he's not bad there, but
you're right. It's
Kamara's not scoring 34 points every week, and as much as you want him to, he's not.
Especially when Ingram comes back.
And to be able to rely on a player that much to be able to get you over that 100 points is not really what you want to be doing. Especially when you consider down the bottom there, a guy like Alfred Morris, who's
that's really a split backfield.
Yeah.
Okay, bad matchup against Minnesota, but
he may not have better weeks. Ertz is going to have better weeks, bounce back.
Yeah, especially when Wentz comes back.
Absolutely right, because he's his key target. And Peyton Barber, well, when you play someone like that, it's going to be either boom or very, very bust.
And a game where they were just dropping points as well. It's quite surprising how little Peyton Barber did.
Yeah, exactly that. So then we look at the other side, and this is really the frightening bit, is that Phil's top 5 really is and the D. So if we call it six of the 9. is scarily good. And we look at Cousins, we said before the season started, he's one of those guys where he's either going to come in, he's going to be one of those game managing QBs, and he's not going to score much in fantasy.
They're going to be playing with the lead. He's going to be very efficient. This is probably about what he's going to do week in week.
That's right, exactly that. But if you get that consistency, you get 20 to 25 points.
Exactly, that's
QB,
not a bad thing.
That's what you
Absolutely
want.
Not.
Pearson's looked like his former self on Sunday for sure.
I think absolutely right. And you're definitely going to get that. I think with Peterson for the first few weeks. Not so sure.
No.
After maybe when we get into October, if he can keep that pace up, but certainly for the first month of the season.
Yeah, absolutely that. And say as a running back too, he's got it there. But it's the three here. It's Gurley, Allen, and Thomas. And we talk about how good combinations are over the course of the year. Well, those three guys, could propel a team like the Tuck Files to that sort of higher echelon of teams that are difficult to beat. And when you've got those three who are all, certainly like first and second round pick worthy.
Yeah.
We're talking a scary total of points every week. So, and they're playing in teams that are going to be playing, well throughout the year. Even the Chargers, despite some of their offensive struggles through the air first half on Sunday, he still managed to turn up with that.
Yeah.
I like the look of that team for sure. And if we have a look at the benches as well, there's not a great deal more on Phil's side because what else can you get out of 138?
Definitely.
But if you look on the other side onto Viv's, a guy like Randall Cobb who had a great game week one, may well be over the course of the year being brought into there.
Yeah, you think he'd come straight in maybe from Morris and Yeldon might be a good spot to start this
absolutely
week
right.
And what was the quarterback? You're not benching Brady for that.
You're not, no.
That was a bit extra. So promising signs for both teams, but
absolutely right.
Early doors, Tuck Club
scary Tuck Club
formidable. We'll go to our next game now. Then we have Gridiron Gang against Hooked on Thielen, or as they were in the game we played, the Dak Street Boys, before they relocated for the second time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Right, yeah. So this one, as you can see, it was a pretty close contest for most of the evening. The Dak Street Boys really did have the lead all the way through this one, but Gridiron Gang didn't back down. However, Hooked on the Thielen did outlast them in this one, 132 to 100 exactly. Not sure that's happened before.
No.
That brings the head-to-head in this one to, where is one of our teams? There I am. To 3 and 4 for Ross. There was really one key bit of analysis we missed when we previewed this game last week.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what that is?
What was that?
It's that I don't win in week 1.
There you go.
And that's pretty big oversight by us.
Famously.
I don't win in week 1. We all know this.
That's it. But it was nearly. It was so close.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I mean, it was. When you score 100 points, as I say, when you score 100 points or more, and you get beaten by someone else, then everybody wins. Yeah. Everybody wins in a certain way because you feel sort of good that you got to that total, but somebody.
The other person deserved it, so you can't.
Absolutely right. That's it. You can't blame out the one, and there's only one team that could have beaten this, I think, this week.
Yeah.
So let's have a look. So 100 points over the other side of the board. Very consistent week. I think if Fournette had managed to make it out the first quarter, then it might have been better.
Yeah, the two big things for my team is obviously my first round pick leaving the game injured, and my defense putting up a goose egg.
That's right, exactly that. So you consider that if you have a full game for Fournette, you'd like to think that he's going to get to that sort of 10 to 20 points somewhere around there. And even a hopeless showing for your D, you like to get 5. So, so let's call it 25 extra points, and the total is much closer. What's on the other side? Well, against all the odds, that's it. Ross has managed to assemble what looks to be a fairly solid team.
This is what we said last week. Is the teams like Ross's, I guess less experienced coaches.
Yeah,
they do tend to fare better. I think in the area of the season, it's fair to say. It's when the bye weeks and injuries hit and everything is when they struggle. So And obviously, we saw in Tom's power rankings that I think he put Ross at 6, just showing that this was a decent team coming out the door.
100%, that's it, and you can see it here. I mean, it's like Andrew Luck is clearly back, which is great. Yeah, and the way that the team is assembled here, it's got really good balance. I mean, you look at Ajayi and Elliott, and they both got plenty of looks.
Yeah.
Thomas Evans and Cup again. That's it. They're going to be there. They're going to be solid. They're going to get targeted.
Definitely.
Cup particularly is an interesting one for me because he's not that sort of
he's a slot guy, but he seems to be the red zone threat there.
That's the thing, exactly that. So you got some serious value there. But again, what we said before about guys who are not going to be able to score consistently. I'm actually going to revoke that with Greg Zuerlein because over the course of the last year, he's shown that as a kicker, you really can score some serious points.
Yeah.
And he's going to be doing that a lot. So it'd be interesting to see how many plus 10 weeks, 10-point weeks, a guy like that has. And he's a really useful asset because if the chips are down and other guys aren't doing well, but your kicker is, that's such a joker to have in your pack.
Definitely.
So 131 doesn't flatter this team at all. It's not like anyone's particularly outperformed themselves. And yeah, I mean, say bench wise again, there's points to be had there. I mean, granted, Chris Thompson's there. I think the weakest point of this of Ross's team particularly is the tight end. I don't think Engram's going to get nearly as much volume as he did last year.
Perhaps in the best blunder in draft history, he drafted Jack Doyle.
That's it.
Who could be a very serviceable.
Exactly that. Exactly that. So yeah, I mean, I'd say Gridiron Game will have better weeks and certainly better wins against opponents that don't put out that score. But say, watch out for Ross. I'm really impressed.
Absolutely. Next game then, Ben Necessities take on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this was no sugarcoating it, the worst game of the week.
100%.
Neither team in this game went over 100, which was the only game we could say that about. Looking at the chart, I don't know what the hell is happening with Obi-Wan Kenobi's line
there, isn't it? Look at that.
But as you can see, Ben Necessities got out to a modest start. They had 2 players on that Thursday game, Matt Ryan and someone else down here, Al Galore, but they didn't really do a great deal for them. And as you can see,
the force is strong on that board, isn't it?
It is. It didn't take long for Obi-Wan Kenobi to be the only hope and really overtake Ben Necessities, and they never looked back. Ben Necessities made it an interesting game, I think. I can't really tell which line is which. They did make it a bit more interesting, but I'm not really sure what's going on here. But you can see that Obi-Wan Kenobi did get the points they needed. It really was, not a good game in many ways.
Not really, no. It was a stinker of a week from Ben Necessities. And unfortunately, down the list there's a lot of volatile players who are going to be volatile for the rest of the year. You look at someone like Matt Ryan, who a couple of years ago was a very, very serviceable fantasy QB. But since, I don't know what's happened,
since Steve Sarkisian.
Is it really? There you go. So, there you go. And if you're going to get that every week, it doesn't fill you with confidence. Same as Burkhead again, gone down with a concussion, in a massive committee. David Johnson's one of those guys who...
He'll have better weeks, but that was a weird week for the Cardinals.
But the Cardinals offensively look shocking.
Yeah.
Baldwin's down.
Oh yeah, he got injured. Sorry, I don't know why the tags didn't come out, but he sprained his knee, so he'll be out for 2 to 4 weeks.
Well, Kelsey, even though in a high-powered offense, big Pat didn't find him.
He's a guy that has better weeks, but this is exactly what I was telling you last week.
I'm going to revoke my comments from last week actually, because he was absolutely right. And it's not like your kicker, and when your kicker and your DST sort of bail you out with decent scores. I'm going to say decent in comparison to the rest of the team. Decent. Absolutely. On the other side, it's a solid week from Obi-Wan Kenobi. However, I'll say this again. Drew Brees is not going to score 37 points every week. So let's take 10 points off that. And is it as solid as you think? Even if you take 15 points off that, is it as solid as you think?
Yeah, I mean, like you say again, the defense really bailed out. And okay, the Bears probably going to be good, and that was against Aaron Rodgers or part Aaron Rodgers. But yeah.
But when you go a little bit further into the team, are they really going to show some serious upside? I think Dalvin Cook, as much as he was touted as being the guy in Minnesota across the course of the year, come like the third quarter, you see a lot more of Murray. Same as Freeman, If,
in a committee that we just did not see coming.
That's it, exactly that. Royce Freeman's exactly the same, That's it. A committee we didn't see coming. Ollie obviously saw it coming, so good luck to him. But again, looking down the list there, again, like Corey Davis in the Tennessee offense. Mariota's obviously not 100% fit. Jimmy Graham,
he's doing what every Green Bay Titan does.
Yeah, nothing. That's it. So unfortunately, the preseason Ferrari around him, that's it. Hasn't come to pass. And Beckham and Robinson, well, Beckham's obviously electric and will have better matchups and will do better week in, week out. But Allen Robinson in a pretty stacked Chicago offensive core.
I mean, he was the top target receiver in that game, and that was the output.
Yeah.
So
that's it. In a game they didn't do too badly either.
No, yeah, definitely. I feel like on the bench here, so I guess Obi-Wan Kenobi has Mahomes to fall back on, but again, when you've got Drew Brees, it's a bit of a headache.
Are you going to sack off Drew Brees for Big Pat?
Probably not.
I'm not sure you are.
On the other side, the bench is another really worrying thing for Venice. If you took out the problems in the starting lineup, as you can see there, there's not really much to speak of. Okay, Deshaun Jackson had that great week, but I think you'll agree with me in saying it's probably a fluke as opposed to...
He's very up and down, and especially when you're scoring 40 points with Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's going to happen every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last game of last week, and then we'll do quick hits on the week 2 preview.
Yeah.
Don't know why it just decided to do that. And it's done it again. No, it hasn't. There we go. ADRZ versus Tom's Tyrants.
There we are.
And this was probably the most competitive game, I would say, of the three.
I would say so. It was very up and down, as you can see. Look at that.
Tom's Tyrants took it 131 to 115. As you can see right there. I'm seeing the Thursday night game. Both teams had players. We could see that Tom took the initial lead. ADRZ finished with it. Then Tom Marie took the lead in the 6 p.m. games. Then I think Nige squeaked it again. And then it went back to Tom. Then it went back to Nige again. Nige, it got close, held on. Tom squeaked ahead at the end of the 9 p.m. games. And I think Nige ran out of players after that. And Tom nudged it over the line with Devontae Adams on the Sunday night game. Tell me what went on here.
Well, that's it. I was going to say it was a real absolute duke of a game. This one, absolutely fighting it out to the death. So again, fantasy football's the winner because we get to discuss a game which combined 245 points was scored, which doesn't happen very often.
Does not.
So what happened and why? So Tom's Tyrants, he was worried for a while. He really was.
Yeah, with good reason.
Yeah, absolutely right. Philip Rivers came up trumps eventually, but it didn't look like that way for a while. But so that's some great output from a guy who was drafted fairly low down the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
based on what we saw, probably going to be quite a lot of that this season.
That's right, I think so. You're in for a wild ride with the Chargers this year. Melvin Gordon, he obviously is the guy in that backfield, but at the same time, only 1 2-point conversion, no touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I could have got the touchdown this one. He's going to plough a few in from the 1 yard line.
That's it. There's no dependency there, which is what I like to see. Kenny Drake's a bit of a weird one. They've got a committee going there.
I'm going to put some of that down to the weirdness of the game with the loading delays and everything as well. Gore had bizarrely at 1.5 carries for 49 yards.
Yeah.
That's not happening every week.
It's certainly not. And he will have better weeks, and he's certainly the more explosive back there. But he doesn't need him. When you've got guys like James Conner, who
it's a great ad.
It was for free as well. Saw that before anybody else did, and say someone's going to take away the Le'Veon Bell factor in Pittsburgh, and you can see that he was heavily used there. I like that team. Is Connor going to score 29 points every week? It's possible, but probably not.
He's going to do well, but like you say.
Is Philip Rivers going to throw 1 pick every week? No. And on the other side, I think when it comes to ADRZ,
very lucky when I look back at it. Really.
Yeah, I think so. And when you've got Tyreek Hill, who's scoring 35 points, and that's a massive part of your.
No doubt, good player, but it's exactly the same thing you said against with Kamara. You can't rely on.
You can't rely on that. No, absolutely not. But I think where everything else there is pretty much where it should be. His running backs are clearly they need more out of that. But what Tyreek Hill loses, the running backs would gain. And I think when you've got Freeman and Hunt there, you're going to get that.
Obviously see on Freeman.
Well, yeah.
Hunt, you're right. We'll have better days, and
But they're both very solidly put together teams, and I think that they're both certainly Tom has put together a team that's much more difficult to beat this year.
Yeah. Looking at the bench, Tom Starrett said Sanders, so the rich get richer.
Yeah, sure, exactly that.
And Austin Eckler looked like a nice little piece as well. Mentioned to me that you could even see starting both of those, and I think he's probably right.
It's possible. He said we've seen it done in the past. He's done it in the past to great effect, so it'd be interesting to see.
And no, I just didn't have a lot to speak of on the other side. Tyler Lockett looked okay though. And if we take a look now, ADRZ full to 6 and 7 against Tom Starrett all time. So Tom Starrett have a slight edge in that head-to-head matchup now. Yeah. So before we go on and do a quick whiz around next week's games, what's next on my agenda? We will look at the power rankings.
The power rankings. I better get that up. That's it.
I will bring them up on here.
Oh,
that's
even better.
That's what we're here
for. That's true.
If my thing would load, that would be helpful. Tom Barnes, there you go. There it is. Power rankings week 2. So we'll just read it out. So we have Ben SSD still at 12. The detonators, I can't remember where they were, but they're 11 now. Dream Team 10, I think that's unchanged. Everyone gonna OB 9. ADOZ at 8, Ixan at 7, Pakistan at 6. The Backstreet Boys all now hooked on Thielen. Move up to 5, Tuck Fards at 4, Tom Starrett's 3, Gridiron Gang 2, Woodfire's 1. I think those 3 are unchanged. What do you make of the power ranking?
I don't think that I deserve to be top. I genuinely don't.
You haven't got Le'Veon Bell yet.
Well, I don't have Le'Veon Bell yet.
I think that's why he's picked it. Because you did what you did without that.
It's possible. It's possible. But as it currently stands, looking at the team, I just don't think that. I don't think I'm there. But at the same time, I guess there were some players that underperformed. But certainly on the back of this week, I think there are stronger teams out there. I think particularly Tom's Tyrants are strong. Particularly Pakistan. And Tuck Fards, I do apologise, Phil. And I think Pakistan are probably about right for where they are right now. But I think they're the guys that could improve a great deal over the course of the next week. But I think that the Tuck Fards, they're looking really handy.
Yeah.
Throughout their team. Down the bottom, at the moment, I think that's probably about right. I think you can't argue with that. I don't think Ollie can particularly argue with that. I think he knows that week in, week out, he's going to be either great or not particularly great, or just very, very, very mediocre.
I mean, like we said, the 97 points is by no means bad, but in a week where so many other teams scored,
precisely,
it's hard to justify moving up.
There were points there, and if you had those guys on the right teams, but hey, this is week 1. There's a long way to go yet.
That sure is. Now, if we take a quick look at the milestones, there we go. Sorry, I could probably open this while you were talking, but oh well.
No, it's all good. That's it.
What am I doing? They're in the same file. I'm a muppet. Anyway, so if we take a look at we'll go on the active tab to make it easy. So we look at the milestones. So we're looking for nice, neat, round numbers. So Tom Barnes, Coach Barnes, notched his 70th career win the last weekend. So congrats to you. Coach Sherwood, they lost, didn't they? He did. He notched his 50th regular season loss of his career. What else we got?
Massive. Viv
notched his 50th regular season loss also.
He's nearly parity. Look at that. Is he one win? 50-50.
Wow.
Don't mess it up.
In the regular season, all time 50 and 54.
That's it. Just did a few more wins then.
Coach Nunn reached his 30th career and regular season win. Congrats to you. Pat notched his 20th regular season loss. And I don't think there's anything else interesting.
There's not a great deal else in there.
So there's your milestones for the week. So with that, we will now jump on to week 2 and do this relatively quickish because this has been a long show.
That's it.
We need to, we're still in pre-season form. We don't get to practice this.
That's right. So we just say what we think.
Exactly.
Even if it takes a while.
Exactly. So the games we have to choose on for marquee matchup, we have Gridiron against the Detonators, Bare Necessities versus Hooked on Feeling, Ixan against Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Turk Files against Tom's Tyrants, the Dream Team against ADRZ, and Forge Flies against Palestine. What is your pick?
My pick is the Turk Files versus Tom's Tyrants, because those are the two teams that looked most explosive last week.
Okay, so this is a battle of the 1-0 team, so one team will leave this game undefeated. Let's take a look at the history of this matchup. Shout if you see them. I think they're both down the bottom. Tom's Tyrants are, well, they're split 8-8 all time, so this has got the makings of a good game. Projections currently have this one going 102 to 93 in favour of the Tuckfards. You can see the chart there. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. So, who has moved in and out of the team? Marshall Lynch has come in for the Tuckfards, and they have dropped
Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones to the bench, can't blame him. I guess he didn't have a great week last week. Tom's Tyrant side of the ball, James Conner moves from the flex to the starting role. Ceremonial move, I'm guessing, because Drake has moved to the flex from the starting running back role. Emmanuel Sanders comes into the starting lineup for Chris Hogan, who has a tough game against Jacksonville. Other than that, they remain unchanged. Looking at the bench as well, no big names on the bench for the Tuckfards, and I would say the same for Tom's Tyrants. Give me a preview of this game, Chris.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and I think that we're in for a treat here as well, because we look on both sides of the board. And there are some really interesting matchups. When you mentioned Sanders against Oakland, I really like that, because I think he had a great game last week. He was clearly targeted an awful lot more, did an awful lot more in terms of production. I don't like Devontae Adams against Minnesota. I think that's got potential to be a bit of a
if Rodgers there, I think he'll do okay. But yeah, if Rodgers isn't there, that's a bad one.
It's a bit of a difficult.
But the big one there for me is Rivers and Gordon against Buffalo.
That is the one.
Now it's in Buffalo, so it's not great cross country, but that team just looked awful.
Yes, they do, and I have to say,
Connor against KC as well is that Gordon just shredded the KC defense.
That's it.
1 week earlier. So.
Yeah, and Connor looks to be, if not better, I don't know, good if not better. So
yeah,
we shall see. But yeah, I agree. I think in any team that's playing Buffalo right now, you've got to say that's a plus matchup. Yeah. You're right when you say in Buffalo is a bit of a different story, but the weather's not bad yet.
No, that's true.
And
I think it's more the time change. We see all these West Coast teams struggle going east to west. West to east.
But I think even then, whatever hangover there is, sort of, I don't know, it's by the wayside this year. Buffalo did look awful. On the other side, though, they've got Keenan Allen against Buffalo as well. So, whatever Rivers throws, presumably will be Allen's way.
Mm-hmm.
So that may stop it just a bit. But on the same token of that, I really like the running back matchups for Phil. Pearson against Indy, and they've been historically terrible against the run for the last couple of years. Yeah. And Gurley against Arizona, who last week
just got ruined by Adrian Peterson.
Absolutely right. So yeah, we know what form there is there. The D's as well. The Patriots at Jacksonville. Blake Bortles hasn't been the most consistent guy over the last few years, but I really like the Rams against Arizona because say Sam Bradford was awful last Sunday. So who do I think is going to win this game? Well, it's going to be particularly difficult to mention it this week because they have the key players on each side have really good matchups. Do I think that Phil's holy trinity of Gurley Allen and Thomas have it over the less so holy trinity of Rivers, Gordon and Connor? Maybe not. But do I think the whole team on the Tuck Files is going to perform a little bit better than Tom's Tyrants this week? Possibly not.
Okay, so you're going Tuck Files?
I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Tom's Tyrants because the matchups plus.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tom's Tyrants too, and I'll tell you why. So you mentioned it. If you look at the top 5 guys on both teams there's really not a lot between them. Cousins against Green Bay, I think, is a good one too. Thomas against Cleveland. I think Cleveland held Pittsburgh in check a bit last week, but that was in bad weather, so we'll see what Thomas does. you're right. It's Galacticos against Galacticos. I don't think you can split on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to split on the rest of the roster. Tyler Eifert did not do a lot in his return.
No.
Playing on Thursday night against a good Baltimore defense isn't great either. They also seem to not play him on many snaps. They played Tyler Croft a lot as well, I think, obviously to keep him healthy. So that's got to be a worry too. Marshall Lynch against Denver. I remembered why Marshall Lynch is a limited participant, because he had an illness and he actually left the game on Monday night. Whether he looks competent or not for the game, he's playing Denver, which is historically a tough game, especially in Denver.
Yeah.
And then, Lutz against Cleveland, whatever. Rams against Arizona, you're right, that's a good matchup too. I think Arizona will probably be a bit better this week.
They have to
be fair. They can't be any worse, let's face it. On the other side, now the matchups aren't much better. Trey Burton against Seattle. Trey Burton didn't look great in week 1, but Kenyon Drake, I do still quite like Kenyon Drake, so I think he'll do a reasonable amount, certainly better than I would think Lynch will do. Vinatieri is the kicking goat, and Patriots against very turnover prone, like Bortles without a lot of receivers and potentially even without Fournette. That can be a good one too. So I agree there is not a lot to split these two, but I will give the edge to Tom Starnes and go with them as well.
Yeah, big game this week. That's gonna be huge.
Absolutely. We'll go on to the next games now. Then the Dream Team take on ADRZ, which is I feel like this has been quite a storied matchup.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it, but I feel like these two have played a lot. I'm pretty sure they've met in the playoffs once or twice too. But both these teams at the moment in a very different scenario to that, because they were both 0-1. So both looking for their first win of the season here. Dream Team are currently projected 98-91. History of this matchup. The Dream Team they do not have a good record against ADRZ, 3-8 all time.
Ouch.
Looking down at the teams, let's see what's changed. Dream Team, at the moment, they are looking, they brought Randall Cobb in. Now, I did say last week, Randall Cobb we did mention it, he does not have a good track record against Minnesota.
No.
Their slot cornerback, Mike Hughes, is a very good player, and will probably stifle him. So on the face, I do not like him coming in already. And he's obviously dropped Alfred Morris there. On the other side, ADRZ, currently Devontae Freeman's in, but again, even if he does play, I'm not sure how effective it will be. Josh Gordon comes in here. I don't think
he was in last week.
Was he in last week?
Yeah.
Excuse me, he was in last week. But Eric Ebron does come in now. But I guess with that injury to Delaney Walker, there's not much choice there. What are your highlights of this game, Chris?
Yeah, this is the thing. I think both teams are, I say weak in this week. Maybe not, but I think ADRZ, as we have seen, can be a very, very boom or very, very bust, and that is the case of Nigel teams every year. There are some plus matchups in there. As I say, I think Tyreek Hill against anybody at the moment is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
He appears to be Mahomes' number one target. I think that, as I said in the previous section, both the running backs can do more. I think Freeman's not going to do quite as much this week. I think it's going to be more of a Tevin Coleman kind of game, just because he's not 100% physically ready.
Carolina did pretty hard on running backs.
Yeah.
They held Elliott in check for a lot of last
Exactly week. That. Eric Ebron doesn't really inspire me with much confidence, to be honest with you. And the Vikings could either get Deshaun Kaiser and do very, very well, or they could get Aaron Rodgers and get shredded. It's possible. On the other side, Brady's got a tough matchup against Jacksonville this week.
You got to think he's still going to maybe 15 points.
But he's the guy. He's the greatest of all time. I say this, and that's no joke. So Kamara against Cleveland last year, I'd have gone, matchup of the week.
That's the story now.
Yeah, it's absolutely right.
So, I mean, they did just get ruined by James Conner, but
Yeah, and it still could be that that's the case. And then say Kamara looked excellent last week. AJ Green against Baltimore is going to be a tough matchup.
Thursday night as well. Never like it Thursday night.
That's it. Again, Green
typically good for the passing attacks more than the running backs, I would say. But
he looked okay last week, but I just don't think. I think the Baltimore defense is a different standard.
Haven't got Jimmy Smith though.
Well, indeed. And then we look at the Chargers against Buffalo. What do we like? That's what I like on both sides. There's more to like with the ADRZ than on the Dream Team, I think, and that's why I'm going ADRZ.
Yeah, when you were saying about the ADRZ stuff, I was like, oh, I'm going to go with the Dream Team in this one. And then you said about the Dream Team stuff, I'm like, oh, I don't want to pick either of these teams. I think this could actually profile as the bare necessities of Obi-Wan Kenobi of week 2, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I think you're right about not, there's things in flux for both teams. Dream Team, while they had a good week 1, we obviously highlighted some things on that team that do not look good at the moment. Barber, we'll need to see something from him before we line him. As you said, Brady against Jacksonville, it's not going to be quintessential Brady. He'll get his, but and then you highlight, Green. That's without Wentz, and as I already said about Cobb, I don't like that matchup. Historically does not do well against Minnesota. On the other side of the ball, though, it's the same story. Cam Newton does not do well in Atlanta. Devonta Freeman might not play, and if he does, he's going to be limited. Josh Gordon, we still don't really know what that's going to look like. And yeah, as you said, Eric Ebron does not inspire me at all. So I'm going to go with...
It's tough, it is tough.
I'm going to go with the Dream Team just because I think they have a bit more star power in Kamara, Brady.
And the Chargers D.
I think I'm going to have to split on the defense, which I don't like doing, but it's that woeful of a game. Profiling that way.
This is when Buffalo turned up.
It did. Forward Flyers against Pakistan then, so, bit of a crossroads early doors to these two. Forward Flyers picked up a big win in week 1. Meanwhile, Pakistan had a bit of a disappointing loss on the other side. The history of this matchup. Let's see.
I'm not sure it's particularly good in my favour.
So you have never beaten Pat. You're 0-4 against Pat. And actually, just to follow up on that last one, we did in fact go with the trend of Dream Team as lost 3-8 record against ADSD. So we're following the numbers.
That's it.
It's going to happen.
It works.
It could happen here as well. But if we're going by that logic. The projection is currently 101 to 93. Looking at the lineups on Forward Flyers side of the ball, you are unchanged.
Correct.
And
apart from George Kittle, who's coming from
yes, of course, for Greg Olsen. On the other side, Pakistan, they are starting Tevin Coleman. I think they did last week, but
they did.
And other than that, looks unchanged to me too. Tell me about this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Pakistan have a point to prove. Coming off last week, I think as I say, they're formidable receiving core. Sort of needs to be able to get them through each week, because I'm not sure that they can rely on Stafford or Shady or indeed sometimes the Steelers D. Especially this week against KC, who looked ridiculous last week.
Yeah, they might want to change that.
It'd be interesting to see if Gronk can beat the Jacksonville D.
Yeah, he was held to 1 catch for 20 yards in the AFC Championship game last year. Granted, he was knocked out through a concussion, but he was being stifled for a lot of that game.
Absolutely. Lewis against Houston, again, it's an infinitely better matchup for Houston than what he was playing in Miami last week. Cooper against Denver is difficult, especially
in Denver too. Carr never does well.
No, especially when especially came off that sort of week last week. Brown against Casey, I like that. Again, Coleman, Carolina. Tough place for running backs to go, as we just said, and any Buffalo running back is bad to have at the moment. But on the other side, there's a lot of I don't know of a lot of the similar sort of thing. I think Mixon against Baltimore has an air about it where if it doesn't quite go Cincinnati's way, then they're going to completely give up on the run, which doesn't suit him. Collins against Cincinnati again tonight.
You've got a very big chance of being Friday nighted here.
That's right, I agree. Which is, again, I don't like that at all, because he got pulled very early last week for 1 fumble.
They were winning big as well. I think it was all that.
But one of the committee's gone down, so happy days. Wilson against Chicago. Chicago looked better than they did last year, and I don't think it's going to be quite as easy to burden them, especially in Chicago. Receiving wise, Fitzgerald and Cooks are playing the same game, which is going to be fun to watch. But they didn't do a great deal last week. Larry's sort of there, and he's a volume target, but is he going to set the world alight? There are some weeks where he will, many weeks he probably won't.
Where you going?
Obviously, I'm going to support my own team. But if I was talking about very objectively, I probably would still go for it too, because Pakistan had terrible matchups.
Yeah, I'd follow that up on Palestine side of the ball. The only things I really like about it are Matt Stafford and Antonio Brown. Everything else there I'm not particularly big on. Tevin Coleman maybe, just because he's a pass catching kind of back. He can do better against the more traditional run stoppers.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the ball, Wilson against Chicago. Okay, it's tough defense, but Wilson's just one of those guys who he's going to do reasonably well anyway. Yeah, it's the Thursday night game, but having both the running backs could still be decent, and a defense on a Thursday night game can be good as well potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other bits and bobs there, I think they're good filling players, so to speak. So I think it's a clear edge for you in my eyes this week. So I'm going to go with you as well. And
great.
We're going against the numbers in this one. We're
That's
going to
it.
get your first win against.
The duck has got to be broken at some point. You would like to think.
Gridiron Gang then take on Bedenators here as well, and these two also searching for their first win of the season. The history of this matchup: Gridiron Gang 3-8 against Bedenators all time, so I typically struggle against Solly. Projections currently have me winning this one, however, 92-88. If we take a look at the lineups, Ben Roethlisberger comes back in the starting lineup for Gridiron Gang because he isn't playing in a storm, basically. Currently Leonard Fournette is in, but obviously he has that hamstring, so I have to keep watch there. Landry comes back in for Kenny Stills, and on the other side of the ball, Ollie's team, James White comes into the flex for Keelan Cole. That's the only change. Tell me about this game, Chris.
I presume you would bring Stills back in if Fournette was injured.
Yeah, I think so. I was just taking a quick look at my bench. I think it would either be Stills or Renner.
Okay, much of a muchness. All right. Well, in that case, let's go through it. So, I like the fact that Ollie's sort of kept it as it is because there was shoots of something happening there. And there were guys who obviously could have improved. The likes of Watson and McCaffrey. James White's been brought in. I know that he's going to be heavily involved, but against Jacksonville, it's going to be proved challenging.
Pass catching back then typically does better against these tough fronts.
This is true, but I still think that it's a tough matchup.
Oh yeah, no question.
But but then again, there's not too many that you look at the Jags D and go, oh, well, that's going to be a difficult matchup. But New England have plenty of options offensively, so I think that could be a bit of a down matchup for them. But you look at the rest of that team there, I think Crabtree's an interesting one in that team because he's always going to sort of be there or thereabouts, especially in an offense that looks pretty good this year. Diggs is the same. On the other side, Roethlisberger is KC like that. He's playing at home. He feels comfortable.
Home ban. I will get 8 starts from out of
the
season.
Exactly that's it. In a plus matchup. The running backs there. There's not a lot to be said. They're just
stable.
They're nice and solid. Hilton against Washington, I like that. Landry needs to prove a little bit more to me. I think he didn't do a great deal last week.
15 catches for 100 yards.
That's it. That was flashy. Flashy. That's it. That was my next point. It wasn't flat. It wasn't the Jarvis Landry of get over the top, and it was a volume based thing, and it was a lot of.
Wasn't that what he was in Miami?
Not particularly. He was more of a deep threat there, no.
He pretty much caught the ball 2 yards down the field every time. He had, I think his yards per catch average was 7.
Really? Wow.
Which
different guy.
Under 10 is bad for a receiver.
Yes, I was going to say.
Cleveland are actually pushing him downfield. That's
wow. Well, in that case, then I completely revoked that. But I'm looking at it there, and I'm going, what do we go for? Do we go for the boom or bust of the Detonators, or do we go for the solid and stable of Gridiron Gang? And again, I think that the solid and stable probably wins it for me. I think Broncos against Oakland could be a bit of a bloodbath as well. So let's go for Gridiron Gang.
I think you're right. It's a close one. 2 different philosophies again, but it's certainly a close one. On only side of the ball, I think McCaffrey's a good matchup. Even Atlanta have lost 2 key pieces of their defense already this season. Barkley, does put in a pretty good performance against Carolina.
Playing
at home and feasibly the offense will be better. Barker's going to get his, I think, but it might not be a dream matchup. And then the other stuff there, yeah, Reed's a good option, but yeah, the other stuff's a bit, like you said, boom or busty, questionable. Yeah. There's no doubt some of them could perform well, but it also wouldn't be surprising to see some do nothing at all. On the other side of the ball, like you said, stable was the name. I think Roethlisberger, Miller, Howard, Landry, they're all really volume plays. They've got a pretty reasonable floor if a capped upside. Fournette's obviously the wild card for me. If he's in the lineup, that's a big boost to my team. If he's not, it's a little more dicey. It's a tough one to call for me. I'm going to go with my team, of course. But no, I think like you said, there's more known knowns there. But there's too many. Yeah. There's more unknowns on detonators right now. So on that basis, I think. But yeah, it could easily go the other way.
For sure.
And the numbers suggest it would. Ben Necessities against hooked on the Thielen then. So both these teams are in opposite directions. Probably the opposite way around, we might have said week one. Before week one. But Ben Necessities on 1, hooked on the Thielen 1-0. Projections currently have this one damn close. It's basically a tie at 90 with decimal separating for a win for hooked on the Thielen. The history of this matchup. Ben Necessities is 3-2 against Ross all time. Taking a look at the lineups, like at the moment, Ben Necessities, what have they changed? Devin Funchesa's come into the lineup for Doug Baldwin, which makes a lot of sense. Other than that, they're unchanged at the moment. Hooked on a Thielen, I would very much think they're... Oh no, they've brought Chris Thompson in my words for
Cooper Kupp. Interestingly.
Interesting. Tell me about the game.
I mean, I get Thompson against Indy, I get that. But not with Adrian Peterson being there too. They did both score very good points last week. It's very difficult to trust Ben Necessities, and you can see why. There's again very streaky players there. But hooks on the Thielen. I don't know why they're rated so low. I just don't get the
plucky upstart team.
I just don't get it. I mean, they did very, very well last week, very solidly scoring. I think throughout that team there's points from all the way from QB to DST. Granted, the inclusion of Thompson rather than Kupp maybe is a little bit strange, but he scored very well last week.
Yeah, and what profiles to be potentially a shootout game as well.
100%. So yeah, I see only one team winning this. I mean, I think there's enough for me to say over last week's form, and the players that he's got, they're no slouches either. No. The hooks on the Thielen's going to be winning this game. Ben Necessities have to pick up from 60 points if they can get themselves to a reputable score this week. Maybe in my mind. There'll be a bit more of a force, but I just don't see it. I just don't see the upside in a lot of those players.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's almost like the last game we just looked at, but a bit more so the extremes either way. Yeah. Ben Necessities has so many unknowns right now, and a few tough matchups for a few of the guys there too. While Hooks on the Thielen obviously had a great week one. That team does look very strong. So yeah,
that's it. I know it doesn't make too much of a difference in the NFL, but there's so many road games for Ben Necessities as well, and it puts you out of your comfort zone, doesn't it? Already.
Sure, absolutely. Then our last game of week 2. Then Ixan take on Obi-Wan Kenobi. Both of these teams have a win in week 1. Sorry, Ben did not notch his 50th loss or whatever I said in the milestones. You did in fact win last week. Also have a new logo which you snuck in there. But the projections currently have this one going 92 to 90 in favour of Obi-Wan Kenobi. History of this matchup, where it is, Ixan against Castrigal. So 1-1, so they're not familiar with each other, they're too familiar. So it could go either way on the basis of that. Looking at the teams, Ixan, at the moment, they are unchanged. On Obi-Wan Kenobi's side of the ball, they are also unchanged. So both a vote of confidence in their teams 100%. Getting the win. Tell me about the game.
I think Ixan are absolutely in the driving seat here. As we said in the review that Obi-Wan Kenobi, yes, they've got some good players there, but they're not going to be able to rely on Drew Brees' points every week. And I think that's the same here. I think there's a lot of guys in that lineup that possibly will get burned. And you say I like likes of Corey Davis, who the status of the QB is up for debate. Jimmy Graham didn't do anything against tough Minnesota D. Allen Robinson again, he's playing Seattle. I mean, that's
not what he used to be. It's more the Bears' offense that's the question.
Exactly that. I like Beckham against Dallas. That's a good matchup. I like Freeman against Oakland. That's a good matchup. And Breeze against Cleveland isn't a joke. Isn't the joke that we were going to make last year?
No, especially if what we saw from New Orleans last year. If they get a lead, they're not going to just pass like crazy like they used to, because they just couldn't defend. So they had to just pile as many points in as they could. Yeah. This is definitely a team now that if they get a lead, they're going to behave normally and try and grind the game out.
Exactly that. They played well against Big Ben last week, and granted he was playing away from home, but will they play well against Drew Brees in New Orleans? We'll see. I think they will certainly step it up. They've got something to play for now. They didn't lose their first game. Sure. On the other side, Rodgers against Minnesota, it's difficult with when somebody's so integral to the way that the team play to really know what's going to happen. But say Rodgers is integral to Green Bay, is integral to Ixtown as well. And as we've seen in the past, when you lose your kind of premier QB, if that happens,
well, just think about necessities last year.
Yeah,
but it's sanctum.
Absolutely, it's a completely different game. Will Crowell keep his 2 touchdown, 102-yard game up? We'll see against Miami. It's not a bad matchup there. But Henry against Houston is horrible. Jones against Carolina again. There's going to be plenty.
It's going to be on Josh Norman.
That's it. Exactly.
Oh, sorry, not Josh Norman, but they have got a good secondary.
Yeah, that's it. Right. and the secondary there. Yeah, as we saw last week against Dallas, they're exceptional. And I think if there's one player to be able to counter that, it's Julio. But
sure, oh yeah.
And again, and he did play against a pretty decent Philadelphia D last week and burned them. So rest of the team there, Justin Tucker's again on Monday night, depends how it goes tonight, doesn't it? So if it's another high scoring affair. And Eagles against Tampa Bay, well, before last week I said, it's a great matchup, but now. And also, what I don't like is if Rodgers is unavailable, and then Ben's got to bring Fitzpatrick in as his starting D, which is never a good sign. So, who do we go for? Well, I would say that if Rodgers, Jones, and Hopkins are all in there, they've got a better chance. But I really do. But Obi-Wan Kenobi's. Oh man, this is awful.
I know who I'm going for, so only mine. You can listen to my argument.
No, I'm going to go for Ixan. I'm going to go for Ixan. On the premise that Rodgers plays. If Rodgers doesn't play, then I'm going for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Fair enough. I'm going Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think either way, because whether Rodgers plays or doesn't, he's playing a tough Minnesota D, and no doubt he will get a reasonable amount of points even if he plays. But he's not going to pile it up, I would think. Certainly if he doesn't play, they're facing an uphill battle already. We already said what we think about Crowell. He could have a decent game, but I don't think he'll be able to repeat. And then Henry, it's really questionable what his usage is going to be like. Jones is, it's a bit of a tough matchup, but he'll get his as always. And Hopkins, he's playing a pretty good secondary. Let's not sleep on this. Deshaun Watson did not look good in week 1. He's playing against Malcolm Butler, Logan Ryan, and Adoree Jackson in week 2.
True that.
It's not an easy game. And then the rest of the lineup there are nothing great to speak of. Eagles D could be a good one though. On the other side, Drew Brees, I think he's not. I don't think he'll repeat what he did last week, but I think 20 to 30 points is probably still reasonable. I think Cook and Freeman in this game could do pretty well, and again Beckham is probably going to do quite well. Robinson, we'll see, and the rest of that roster, I think Bears defense could be good too. I just think the top 4 for Obi-Wan Kenobi should see them through.
It's certainly better than the top 4 for Ixan.
Yeah, that's paper. On paper, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I agree, there is not good options on. I could see this big game, neither team going over 100 in this one too.
Yeah, likewise.
But I will go with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's the week 2 preview. So, as always, you're welcome to come over to watch the games of mine on Sunday. I might not be home at 6, but if you want to come over and start watching the games at 6, you're more than welcome to. Are you around this weekend?
I am around this weekend. Actually, no, I say I'm around this weekend. Yeah, I'm around this weekend on Sunday, yes. Sunday's fine.
If you want to come around and watch the games, you're welcome to.
Thank you, that's it.
I should be home about 7, I think. Other than that, best of luck if you've got any plans tonight and indeed on the weekend. Enjoy week 2 of fantasy, and we'll obviously be back next week.
We will for more fantasy fun. So
exactly.
Until then,
goodbye.
Night.